The silver ship came down from the sky like a falling star. It was bigger than any building in New York and made no sound as it moved through the clouds. People all over Earth stopped what they were doing to watch it land in the big field next. To the United Nations building, General Marcus Kane stood with his hands behind his back as he watched the ship touch down. The ground shook a little, but not much. President Linda Hayes walked up beside him along with Admiral Jake Turner. They had been waiting for this moment for 3 days ever since the aliens sent their message, saying they wanted to talk. The ship door opened with a soft hiss, and out came the strangest thing any human had ever seen. It looked like it was made of clear crystal, but it moved like a person. It was tall and thin, and when the sunlight hit it the right way, it threw rainbows all over the ground. This was Ambassador Zethkari, and he spoke for the Galactic Council. "I am here to deliver a message from the Council of 1,000 Worlds," the alien said. His voice sounded like music, but cold music that made people feel afraid. "Your species has been judged and found wanting." President Hayes stepped forward. She had been the leader of America for 6 years and had dealt with many hard problems, but nothing like this. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means humans are too dangerous to be allowed in space," Zethkari said. The crystal parts of his body seemed to get brighter when he talked. "You fight too much. You ask too many questions. You take things that do not belong to you. The Council has decided that Earth must be isolated." Admiral Turner felt his hands make fists, but he kept them at his sides. "We have never attacked another species without being attacked first. Your very existence is an attack," the alien replied. "You spread across space like a disease. You build weapons when we tell you to build farms. You explore places we have not given you permission to explore. You are chaos in a galaxy that values order." Dr. Elena Rodriguez had been standing quietly behind the others, but now she moved closer. She was the smartest person on Earth when it came to alien life, and she had studied every piece of information they had about the galaxy. "What do you want us to do?" "You will remove all human presence from space beyond your moon within 72. "Of your Earth days?" Zethkari said. "Every colony ship, every space station, every human settlement on every world must be abandoned. You will return to Earth and stay there." General Kane could not stay quiet anymore. "There are 12 million humans living on colony worlds. Some of them were born there. It is their home. Then they will find a new home on Earth, or they will die in space," the alien said without any feeling in his voice. "The Council does not care which you choose." President Hayes felt cold inside. "And if we refuse?" "Then you will be removed by force," Zethkari said. "The Council has ships that can turn your sun into dust. We have weapons that can crack planets in half. We have technology that makes your best science look like cave paintings. You cannot fight us and win." Dr. Rodriguez stepped closer to the alien. "Why now? Humans have been in space for 50 years. Why decide this today?" "Because today you went too far," the alien answered. "Your ship, the Explorer, found one of our hidden research stations in the Kepler system. Your people took pictures and asked questions and wanted to know how our technology works. That is not allowed. Lesser species do not study the technology of their betters." "We were just curious," Admiral Turner said. "Curiosity is a disease," Zethkari replied. "It spreads and infects and destroys order. The Council has seen what happens when species like yours are allowed to grow unchecked. Wars break out. Trade stops. Chaos spreads from system to system until entire regions of the galaxy burn." President Hayes looked at the alien for a long moment. "You are afraid of us." "The Council fears nothing," Zethkari said, but his crystal body flickered a little. "We simply maintain order." "No," President Hayes said. "You are afraid of what we might become if we keep learning and growing. You are afraid we might become as powerful as you." The alien did not answer right away. When he did speak, his voice was quieter. 72 days. Remove all human presence from space or face the consequences. The crystal being turned and walked back toward his ship. Just before he reached the door, he stopped and looked back. "Do not think to hide from us. Our sensors can find any human technology anywhere in the galaxy. Do not think to fight us. Our weapons can destroy your entire species before you could. Fire a single shot. Accept your fate and live quietly on your little world." The ship door closed, and the silver vessel rose into the sky without making any sound. In seconds, it was gone, leaving only a slight smell of ozone in the air. President Hayes turned to the others. "Get me Director Collins at the Deep Space Initiative. Tell him to meet us in the secure room in 30 minutes. "What are you thinking?" General Kane asked. "I am thinking that Alien made a mistake," President Hayes said. "He told us exactly what we needed to know." Dr. Rodriguez nodded slowly. "He said their sensors can find human technology anywhere in the galaxy. But what if there was no human technology to find?" Admiral Turner asked, "What if we just disappeared?" President Hayes smiled for the first time since the alien ship had arrived. 72 days to evacuate 12 million people. That is impossible unless you have help. "What kind of help?" General Kane asked. "The kind that makes people very good at hiding," President Hayes said. "Collins has been working on some interesting projects. Projects that might make the Galactic Council very sorry they decided to threaten humanity." As they walked toward the United Nations building, President Hayes thought about the alien's words. He had said humans were too curious, too aggressive, too unpredictable. He had said they asked too many questions and went places they were not supposed to go. He was right about all of those things. But he had made one big mistake. He thought those were weaknesses. President Hayes knew they were humanity's greatest strengths. And in 72 days, the galaxy was going to learn the difference between a species that follows orders and a species that makes its own rules. The countdown had begun. 6 months had passed since the alien, ultimatum, and the galaxy watched with satisfaction as human colonies began their evacuation. Massive cargo ships filled the space around every human settlement like hungry metal whales. The aliens had sent observer ships to make sure humans followed their orders, and those ships reported exactly what they expected to see. Commander Ryan Foster stood on the observation deck of the colony ship Horizon as it prepared to leave New Harmony. This had been humanity's most distant colony, a beautiful world with purple skies and 3 moons. 50,000 humans had called this place home for 20 years. Now they were all supposed to be leaving. "All civilians are aboard the transport vessels," Foster reported into his communication device. Beginning final departure sequence. Captain Lisa Morgan received the message aboard the evacuation flagship Unity. She was in charge of coordinating the withdrawal from 12 different star systems. Her screens showed hundreds of ships all heading back toward Earth. To any observer, it looked like humanity was doing exactly what they had been told to do. "Confirmed, Commander Foster," Morgan replied. "You are cleared for departure. Safe journey home." But something strange was happening that the alien observers could not detect. The ships leaving New Harmony showed the correct number of passengers on their manifests, but the actual count was different. Ships that should have carried 10,000 people only had 8,000 aboard. Ships that should have been full of mining equipment instead carried empty cargo containers. Dr. Nathan Phillips worked from a secret facility built inside one of Earth's moon craters. The base was completely hidden from any sensors, and from there he coordinated the most complex deception in human history. His screens showed the real truth about what's happening across the galaxy. "Ghost ship protocol is working perfectly," Phillips reported to Director Collins back on Earth. The Council observers are seeing exactly what we programmed them to see. The reality was breathtaking. While transport ships did return to Earth, they only carried volunteers who had agreed to play a part in humanity's greatest acting performance. The real colonists were still out there among the stars, but now they were invisible. Commander Foster smiled as he watched the last official transport ship leave New Harmony's orbit. What the aliens did not know was that 40,000 humans were still on the planet's surface. They had moved into underground cities that had been prepared months in advance. Their technology had been upgraded with new systems that made them completely undetectable. Stealth systems are operating at full capacity, reported Lieutenant Amy Johnson from her position at the sensor station. We are now officially invisible to all known alien detection methods. The key to the deception was technology that humans had developed in secret. Years ago, the exploration ship Explorer had indeed found an alien research station, just as Ambassador Zethkari had said. But what the alien had not known was that humans had been finding alien technology for decades. Every piece had been studied and improved upon. Dr. Rodriguez had led the team that reverse-engineered alien cloaking devices. Human engineers had made them better. Where alien cloaking technology could hide a small ship for a few hours, human technology could hide entire cities forever. The aliens thought they were superior, but humans had proven they were wrong. Admiral Turner watched from Earth's command center as the evacuation reports came in. According to official records, every human colony was being abandoned. According to reality, over 2 million humans had just vanished into the spaces between stars along with their cities, their technology, and their dreams of expansion. New Angeles Colony reports successful evacuation, came the message from Captain John Davis. All 50,000 residents have been relocated. Turner knew the truth. New Angeles Colony had indeed been evacuated, but only on paper. The real colony was now hidden beneath a sophisticated holographic field that made the planet look empty and lifeless. The colonists were still there, building and growing, and preparing for what came next. The same thing was happening on dozens of worlds. Kepler Station reported complete abandonment, while 300 scientists continued their research in hidden laboratories. The mining operation on Vega 7 officially shut down while the miners simply moved their equipment underground and kept working. Humanity was not leaving space. They were learning to live in it without being seen. Dr. Phillips received reports from across the galaxy. Phantom Base Alpha is operational and undetected. Phantom Base Beta has completed construction of their new research facility. Ghost Fleet Charlie reports all ships are running silent and invisible. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They thought forcing humans to leave would solve their problem. Instead, they had given humanity the perfect reason to develop technology that made them impossible to track or control. Every human settlement that officially closed down was really transforming into something the galaxy had never seen before. Captain Morgan piloted her ship through the asteroid belt around Tau Ceti. Her vessel looked like any other cargo hauler, but it was equipped with the most advanced stealth systems ever built. Around her, a fleet of similar ships moved like ghosts through space, carrying supplies to colonies that no longer existed, according to official records. Supply run to Haven Colony is complete, she reported. Delivered food, medicine, and manufacturing equipment. Colony population is thriving and expanding. Haven Colony was supposed to be empty. The alien observers had watched every transport ship leave the system 6 months ago. What they had not seen were the construction ships that arrived later carrying prefabricated cities and advanced cloaking systems. Haven Colony was now home to 100,000 invisible humans. The scope of the deception was staggering. Humans had not just hidden a few settlements. They had hidden an entire shadow civilization. Mining operations continued on asteroids that appeared empty. Research stations operated in nebulae that showed no signs of activity. Whole fleets of ships traveled trade routes that aliens thought were abandoned. General Kane stood before a holographic display that showed the true extent of human presence in the galaxy. Red dots marked official human territories that had been evacuated. Blue dots marked the locations where humans actually lived and worked. There were 5 times as many blue dots as red ones. Phase 1 is complete, Kane announced to the Shadow, government that now controlled humanity's scattered empire. We have successfully made 2.5 million humans disappear from official existence while establishing a network of hidden bases that spans 47 star systems. President Hayes smiled as she reviewed the reports. The Galactic Council had wanted humans to be invisible, and that is exactly what they had become. But invisible did not mean gone. It meant free to operate without interference or oversight. It meant having the element of surprise, that the galaxy thought it had solved the human problem. In reality, it had just made humans far more dangerous than they had ever been before. 2 years had passed since the Great Evacuation, and the galaxy was enjoying what the Galactic Council called the Great Peace. Trade routes that had once been disrupted by curious humans now flowed smoothly. Worlds that humans had claimed were redistributed to species that the Council considered more suitable. The alien leaders met in their crystal towers and congratulated themselves on solving the human problem. Captain Amy Johnson piloted her stealth frigate Whisper through the Vega system with the confidence of someone who owned the darkness. Her ship was invisible to every sensor the aliens possessed, and her crew had spent months mapping every trade route and military installation in this sector. They were ghosts studying the living, and the living had no idea they were being watched. Ghost. Fleet Alpha to command, Johnson whispered into her quantum communicator. The Xanthari mining operation on Vega Prime is proceeding exactly as our intelligence predicted. Their security is weak, and their technology has not improved in 2 years. They have become lazy without human competition. The message traveled instantly across impossible distances to a hidden world that existed beyond the edge of the galaxy where no alien had ever thought to look. This was Haven Prime, the secret capital of humanity's shadow empire. Here, General. Kane stood before the largest holographic display ever constructed, showing the positions of 300 human settlements that officially did not exist. Excellent work, Captain Johnson, Kane replied. Continue surveillance and report any changes in their defensive patterns. Kane turned to the other officers in the command center. The room was carved from solid rock deep beneath Haven Prime's surface and was shielded against every form of detection the galaxy knew about. Status report on all sectors, please. Commander Foster stepped forward with a data pad in his hands. Phantom Base Network is operating at full capacity across 62 star systems. Our invisible colonies now house over 3 million humans. Industrial production is up 400% from pre-evacuation levels. Dr. Phillips appeared on a holographic projector from his research facility on the dark side of Pluto. Our technology advancement has exceeded all projections, General. Without alien oversight limiting our research, we have made breakthroughs in energy production, faster than light travel, and defensive systems. We are now more advanced than any single species in the Galactic Council. Admiral Turner nodded from his position at the tactical display. Our stealth fleets have mapped the military capabilities of all major Council species. The Xanthari Empire has 2,000 warships, but their weapons are 3 generations behind ours. Avex Collective has superior numbers, but their tactics have not changed in 50 years. The Crystal Hierarchy has advanced shields, but their ships are slow and predictable. Kane smiled as he listened to the reports. The alien ambassadors had been right about one thing. Humans were dangerous. But they had been wrong about why. Humans were not dangerous because they were aggressive or unpredictable. They were dangerous because they never stopped learning and growing and adapting. President Hayes walked through the corridors of New Washington, the underground city that served as the civilian government center for humanity's hidden empire. The halls were carved from living rock, but filled with the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Children played in parks that existed beneath shields that made them invisible from space. Adults worked in laboratories and factories that produced wonders the aliens could not imagine. Status report from all colony worlds, Hayes requested from her aide Lieutenant Sarah Cooper. All colonies report successful expansion and development. Ghost Colony 7 has successfully terraformed 2 new continents. Phantom Station 12 has completed construction of our largest shipyard. Hidden Base 15 has made contact with a species the Council has never heard of, and they are interested in trade agreements. Hayes paused at that last item. A species the Council does not know about? The Kresh from the far spiral arm, Cooper explained. They are peaceful traders who avoid the Council because they disagree with their policies. They have been watching our stealth operations and are impressed by our technology. They want to establish diplomatic relations. This was interesting news. Humanity was not just hiding from the galaxy. They were finding parts of the galaxy that had also chosen to hide from the Council. The aliens who had banished Earth thought they controlled everything, but there were entire regions of space. They knew nothing about Dr. Rodriguez worked in her laboratory aboard the research station Prometheus, base which drifted into space between galaxies where no alien would ever think to look. Her team had spent 2 years analyzing intercepted communications from every major species in the galaxy. What they had discovered was both encouraging and disturbing. The Council species had become completely dependent on the stability we provided. Rodriguez reported to the command staff. Without human innovation pushing them forward, their technological development has nearly stopped. Their economies are stagnating because we were their primary source of new ideas and competitive pressure. What about their military capabilities? Kane asked. Declining rapidly, Rodriguez replied. They have not faced a real threat in 2 years, so their training has become routine and predictable. Their weapons research has slowed because they no longer need to keep up with human advancement. In some ways, they are becoming weaker while we grow stronger. This was exactly what humanity's leaders had hoped would happen. The galaxy had gotten rid of humans because they thought humans were disruptive. But disruption was often what drove progress and innovation. Without that pressure, the alien civilizations were becoming comfortable and lazy. Commander Johnson received new orders as her ship patrolled the outer edges of Centauri space. Whisper, you are cleared to begin Phase 3 operations. Test there. Response times and defensive capabilities, but do not engage directly. Johnson smiled as she programmed her ship's systems. Phase 3 was about making the aliens aware that something was wrong without letting them know what it was. Her ship would appear on their sensors for just a few seconds before vanishing again. Equipment would malfunction in ways that suggested sabotage but left no evidence. Supply convoys would report being followed by ships that could not be found. The goal was to make the galaxy nervous and paranoid, to make them wonder if humans had really left or if something else was moving in. The darkness between stars. Fear was a powerful weapon, and humanity had learned to use it well. Over the following months, similar operations began throughout the galaxy. Alien crews reported strange sensor readings that disappeared when investigated. Mining operations found their equipment rearranged in impossible ways. Trade ships arrived at their destinations, missing cargo that had been there when they left. The Galactic Council began receiving reports from across their territory, but none of the reports made sense. There was no evidence of human presence anywhere, but something was definitely happening. The great peace they had celebrated was beginning to crack, and they had no idea why. The Centauri Empire made the mistake that changed everything. High Admiral Vrexton had grown tired of waiting for new territories to expand into and decided to take what he wanted. The Tau Ceti system had been empty for 2 years, according to all official records, and his scouts reported no signs of alien presence. It seemed like the perfect place to establish 3 new mining colonies and a military base. What Admiral Vrexton did not know was that Tau Ceti was home to nearly 2 million humans living in cities that could not be detected by any alien technology. These humans had been born on the worlds of that system and considered it their home. They had watched the Xanthari scout ships probe their space for weeks, and they had prepared for what was coming. Commander Brandon Clark received his orders from the Shadow Command on Haven Prime as he stood on the bridge of the stealth destroyer Darwin. His ship was hidden in the asteroid belt, where it had been watching the Xanthari preparations for invasion. The message was simple and direct. "Operation Phantom Strike is authorized," came the voice of General Kane across the quantum communication. Link: defend Tau Ceti by any means necessary, but maintain operational secrecy. The galaxy must not know who is responsible for what happens next. Clark turned to his crew with a grim smile. All hands to battle stations, weapons hot, stealth systems at maximum. Today, we remind the galaxy why humans were considered dangerous. Darwin was unlike any warship that had ever existed. Human engineers, unrestrained by alien oversight, had created a vessel that was part ghost and part nightmare. It could appear and disappear at will, strike with weapons that defied known physics, and move through space in ways that alien science said were impossible. Admiral Vrexton stood on the command deck of his flagship, Conquest as his invasion fleet, dropped out of hyperspace around Tau Ceti. 50 heavy cruisers and 200 escort vessels filled the space around the system's outer planets. It was enough firepower to conquer a dozen worlds, and the Admiral expected no resistance from what appeared to be an empty system. "Begin planetary surveys," Vrexton ordered his officers. "I want mining sites identified and construction of our bases to begin within 1 standard day." The first sign that something was wrong came when the Xanthari scout ship Explorer's Edge simply vanished from their sensors. One moment it was conducting a routine scan of Tau Ceti's 4th planet, and the next moment it was gone. No distress. Signal, no wreckage, no explanation. "Explorer's Edge, report your status," came the call from the fleet communications officer. Only silence answered back. Then the 2nd scout ship Void Seeker disappeared in the same way. And then the 3rd. Admiral Vrexton felt a cold fear growing in his chest as he realized his fleet was being hunted by something he could not see or detect. Commander Clark watched the alien fleet from his position in the asteroid field as 3 more human stealth ships joined the Darwin in the attack. The Ghost Squadron had been preparing for this moment for months, and every pilot knew exactly what to do. "Darwin to Ghost 2, you are clear to engage the cruiser Bonecrusher," Clark whispered into his communication system. Ghost 2 confirmed. "Beginning attack run," came the reply from Captain Lisa Morgan aboard the stealth frigate Phantom, the Xanthari cruiser. Bonecrusher was scanning for threats when reality seemed to tear open next to it. A ship that should not exist appeared from nowhere and fired weapons that turned the cruiser's armor into dust. Before the Xanthari crew could even sound an alarm, their ship was cut in half and drifting dead in space. Admiral Vrexton watched in horror as his fleet began to die around him. Ships exploded without warning as invisible enemies struck from every direction. His weapons officers fired blindly into empty space, while his sensor operators reported no contacts anywhere. "All ships retreat to defensive formation," Vrexton ordered, but it was already too late. The human ships moved through his fleet like sharks through a school of fish. Every few minutes another Xanthari vessel would simply cease to exist, torn apart by weapons that seemed to ignore shields and armor completely. Dr. Phillips watched the battle from his command center and marveled at how perfectly human technology worked against alien defenses. The Zenthari had not improved their systems in decades, while humanity had spent 2 years perfecting new ways to destroy their enemies. Ghost Squadron is reporting complete success, Phillips announced to the war. Council: Zenthari fleet strength reduced by 60% in the first hour of engagement. Enemy morale appears to be collapsing. President Hayes nodded as she watched the tactical display. Make sure our people understand that no Zenthari ship can be allowed to escape. We cannot let them report what really happened here. Commander. Clark piloted the Darwin through the heart of the enemy formation as alien ships fired frantically in all directions, trying to hit targets they could not see. The human stealth technology made his ship completely invisible, while his weapons could penetrate any defense the aliens possessed. Darwin to all Ghost Squadron units, Clark announced. Enemy flagship is attempting to retreat. All ships converge on Admiral Vrexton's position. The Zenthari flagship Conquest tried to escape to hyperspace, but found its engines disabled by weapons that struck from impossible angles. Admiral Vrexton stood on his bridge, watching his fleet die, and finally understood what was happening. Send a message to Zenthari Command, he ordered his communications officer. Tell them we are under attack by an unknown enemy using technology we have never seen before. Tell them this was a trap. The message never reached its destination because the Darwin appeared directly above the Conquest and fired a single shot. That turned the flagship into expanding plasma. Admiral Vrexton and his dreams of conquest died together in the cold vacuum of space, not within 6 hours the entire Zenthari invasion force had been destroyed. Not a single alien ship escaped to tell what had happened. The official reports would say that the fleet had disappeared in hyperspace, probably due to a navigation error or equipment failure. Ambassador Zenthari stood before the Galactic Council. 3 days later, with his crystal form flickering with confusion and fear, the destruction of an entire Zenthari fleet was unprecedented and unexplainable. The attack patterns were sophisticated and coordinated, Zenthari reported to the assembled. Aliens. The weapons signatures do not match any known technology in our databases. The tactics used suggest a highly advanced military force with extensive knowledge of Zenthari capabilities. High Counselor Vexthani's tentacles writhed with agitation. Could this be human technology? Impossible, Zenthari replied quickly. Our long-range sensors confirm that humans remain confined to their home system. There has been no human activity detected beyond Earth's moon in over 2 years. But across the galaxy, similar incidents began to occur with increasing frequency. A slave trading operation in the Vega system was destroyed overnight with no survivors and no witnesses. Pirate fleets that had terrorized shipping lanes for decades simply vanished without a trace. Mining operations that used forced labor found their facilities reduced to slag by unknown attackers. Dr. Rodriguez smiled as she reviewed the intelligence reports from her hidden laboratory. Phase 3 is exceeding all expectations. The galaxy is beginning to realize they have a problem they cannot identify, cannot track, and cannot fight. The aliens had wanted humans gone, and humans had given them exactly what they asked for. But invisible did not mean powerless, and absent did not mean defeated. Humanity had learned the greatest lesson of all. True strength came not from being seen and feared, but from being unseen and unstoppable. 5 years had passed since the day Ambassador Zenthari had delivered his ultimatum to Earth, and the galaxy was falling apart. The great peace that the Galactic Council had promised was now the great chaos. Trade wars raged between species that had once cooperated. Aggressive empires expanded without anyone strong enough to stop them. Mysterious forces continued to strike at the galaxy's worst criminals while remaining completely invisible. Council chambers on the crystal world of Nexus Prime had not seen this much panic in 1,000 years. Representatives from dozens of species shouted accusations at each other while their economies collapsed and their territories were attacked by enemies they could not see. High Counselor Vexthani called for order, but nobody was listening anymore. Ambassador. Zethkari stood at the center of the chaos, with his crystal form dim and flickering. He had spent 5 years trying to find the source of the galaxy's problems, and had failed completely. Every investigation led to dead ends. Every theory was proven wrong by new evidence. The unknown enemy that was destroying criminal operations and protecting innocent worlds remained a mystery. Order! Vexthani shouted above the noise. We must have order if we are to solve this crisis. What crisis? Demanded Senator Krexval of the Warrior Caste. You promised us peace when you vanished. The humans. Instead, we have constant warfare and invisible enemies that strike without warning. The human banishment was successful, Zethkari insisted. Our sensors confirm that no human has left their home system in 5 years. This crisis has nothing to do with them. But even as he spoke those words, Zethkari felt doubt growing in his crystal heart. The timing was too perfect, the tactics too familiar, the protection of innocent species too much like human behavior. But it was impossible because humans were gone. Deep in the hidden command center on Haven Prime, General Kane watched the council, meeting through intercepted communications, and smiled. The aliens were finally ready to hear the truth. He turned to President Hayes, who stood beside him looking older, but stronger than she had 5 years ago. It is time, Hayes said simply. Kane nodded and activated the galaxy-wide communication system that humanity had spent years building in secret. Every alien communication device in known space would receive the message that was about to be broadcast. There would be no hiding from what came next. The message began not with words, but with images. Every screen in the council chambers suddenly showed views of human cities that should not exist. Tau Ceti appeared not as an empty system, but as home to millions of humans living in gleaming metropolises. New Harmony showed vast agricultural complexes feeding entire worlds. Kepler Station revealed research facilities more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. Greetings, members of the Galactic Council, President Hayes said as her image appeared on every screen in the galaxy. You wanted us gone, so we became invisible. You wanted peace, so we brought you chaos. You wanted to control us, so we became uncontrollable. The silence in the council chambers was complete. Every alien representative stared at the screens showing impossible sights. Humans were supposed to be confined to Earth, but these images showed them thriving across dozens of star systems. This is impossible, Zethkari whispered, but his words were picked up by the communication system and broadcast to every world in the galaxy. President Hayes smiled. 5 years ago, you told us we were too dangerous for galactic society. You said we asked too many questions and went places we were not supposed to go. You said our curiosity was a disease that would spread chaos throughout the galaxy. The image changed to show Admiral Turner standing on the bridge of a massive warship that dwarfed anything in the alien fleets. Behind him stretched a formation of human vessels that seemed to go on forever. You were right about our curiosity, Turner said calmly. We spent 5 years learning everything about you, while you forgot everything about us. We know your military capabilities, your trade routes, your political weaknesses, your technological limitations. We could have destroyed any of your civilizations at any time, but we chose not to, General Kane added as his image joined the others. Because unlike you, we understand that true strength comes from protecting the innocent, not dominating the innocent. Weak, Senator Krexvold found his voice first. What do you want from us? Dr. Rodriguez appeared on the screen speaking from a laboratory that was clearly more advanced than anything the Council had ever seen. We want what we should have had from the beginning. equal representation on the Galactic Council, an end to your monopoly on galactic law, a guarantee that no species will ever again be banished for the crime of being inconvenient to your politics. And if we refuse? High Counselor Vexthani asked, though he already feared the answer. President Hayes returned to the screen with an expression that was both kind and terrifying. Then we will simply disappear again. But this time, we will not go alone. The images changed to show representatives from dozens of species that the Council had never heard of. The Kresh traders, the nomad fleets, the free colonies, the independent worlds. All of them had been contacted by humanity during their years in exile. All of them had agreed to join a new galactic confederation if the Council refused to reform. Your galaxy will become a very lonely place, Admiral Turner continued. Every species that values freedom over control will join us in the dark spaces between stars. Every world that wants to grow and explore and learn will abandon your stagnant empire. You will be left with nothing but empty systems and the echo of your own arrogance. Commander Clark appeared on screen next, speaking from the bridge of the Darwin. The invisible forces that have been protecting innocent worlds and destroying criminal operations for the past 3 years, that was us. We have been the galaxy's immune system, fighting the diseases that your council was too weak or too corrupt to handle. The slave traders you could never catch? We freed their prisoners and destroyed their ships. The pirate fleets that terrorized your shipping lanes? We eliminated them completely. The aggressive empires that threatened peaceful worlds? We stopped their expansion by force. Captain Johnson joined the broadcast from her stealth frigate. We became the guardians you refused to be. We brought justice to places your laws could not reach. We protected species you had abandoned to their fate. The final speaker was Dr. Phillips, broadcasting from his hidden research facility. Your technology has stagnated while ours has advanced beyond your ability to comprehend. Your military forces are obsolete compared to our capabilities. Your economic systems are failing while our colonies prosper. In every way that matters, we have surpassed you. But we do not want to rule you, President Hayes said as she returned to conclude the message. We want to join with you as equals in building a galaxy where every species can grow and thrive and explore the wonders of the universe. A galaxy where curiosity is celebrated, not feared. A galaxy where questions are answered, not forbidden. The screens showed one final image that took the breath away from every alien who saw it. It was a view of the human fleet in all its glory. Thousands of ships stretching across light years of space, each one invisible to alien sensors until they chose to reveal themselves. The age of the Galactic Council's monopoly is over, Admiral Turner announced. The age of galactic cooperation begins now. The choice of whether that cooperation is peaceful or forced is entirely up to you. The transmission ended, and the galaxy held its breath. In the council chambers, Ambassador Zefkari looked around at his fellow representatives and saw the same realization in every alien face. They had not banished humanity from the galaxy. They had given humanity 5 years to become powerful enough to reshape the galaxy in their own image. Counselor Vexthani rose slowly from his seat. The council votes to accept human representation and to reform galactic law to ensure equality for all species. The vote was unanimous because there was no other choice. The age of human dominance had begun, forged in the fires of exile and tempered by the wisdom that came from being forced to see the galaxy from the outside. Humanity had not just returned to galactic civilization, they had become its new leaders.